Another season of the NBA on ESPN is underway.
Let's go!
Deep three. Tyler Hero. Oh, he did it.
We have a liftoff.
Leonard.
What is happening? Beautiful people, welcome to Hoop Streams. We're live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and the ESPN app. We're getting you ready for the Celtics and the Mavs. That game is at 7:30 on ESPN. I'm Christine Williamson. I'm bald, but I want to talk about these two guys because they're always talking about their hair.
Yes.
Gary's growing it out. Trev is too. He's got his little thing going on. I feel like
Yeah,
the flow
I'm
is
flowing.
heavy.
He's
So,
glowing.
well, I mean, why you gotta bring up the ball? Like, what does that have to do
I'm
with
saying
it?
like that's my due.
Okay.
This is your due.
Oh, okay. No, I'm with it. Okay, cool.
Also,
we all
C-Dub
doing
said
it.
she might put that as an NFT because those
I
things are
did
going
say
crazy.
that
You can legit
earlier.
sell
She
anything.
got money, bro.
No, I'm trying to sell my bald head as an NFT so somebody can pay me
Get breaded,
to
C-Dub.
own my bald
Okay,
head.
okay. I see you, dog. I
It's
see
a
you.
thing. It's a thing. People are doing it. We were talking
I'm
about it
not right.
earlier. We can talk about that at another time. We've already talked about NBA Top Shot, so we don't need to talk about that again. Let's talk about the top things that have happened in the NBA this past week.
It was a
Let's
berserk.
do
little
it.
bit of NBA rewind, starting with best poster.
Yeah, this will do it.
I love starting out with stuff like this.
Last night, Hornets versus the Wizards.
Excuse me?
Westbrook.
Violence.
Oh gosh. This is
Rui
embarrassing.
Hachimura. God dang. Right behind him.
Biombo.
Just bodies everywhere.
Yeah.
The stiff arm with the left hand turned into a high five. It's all bad for Bismack.
Listen,
But-
and everybody feels bad for Bismack.
Yes.
But really, nobody should because this man is in the middle of the best season during the Hornets campaign. He's
Okay.
$17 million a year, averaging 5 points. So what you gonna do after getting dunked on like that is just kick the feet back, throw on a face mask with your favorite kimchi poppy, and just chalk it up to experience. This was actually 2 years ago in Charlotte, Bismack Biombo's house. Lovely.
Gary, you looking kind of 2C's thick with the sweatsuit on. I'm not mad at it, dog.
Listen, it was not a hot boy summer back then, but this year, watch
That
out.
was compliment. Look, as a self-proclaimed 2C thick brother, like I get it and I appreciate it.
If
Nobody's
you're not 3 C's thick, it's not worth being 2 C's thick. So I guess I'm a runner now.
Wow. Okay, let's go on. Most impatient. This one, the Hornets versus the Suns. LaMelo Ball, he's not playing right now. He has a wrist injury, just had surgery, but he wants in the game.
I actually love everything about this. Like, that is just so pure. From a 19-year-old NBA superstar who just is quite literally itching and fidgeting to just get back onto the court, but
Bro,
he can't.
but what if he just had to use the bathroom?
Also that too, because
You know what I mean? Like I just think that's a very valid point, like that we
Okay.
should probably discuss.
I
Just in
feel
case.
like if he's not playing, he can go.
Well, there may be rules on the bench like no phones and you can't use the bathroom.
I'm just
until
trying
a
to be
certain quarter break.
inspirational. Like, no, he really wants to be.
I
playing.
just-
And Trevor's like, he's got to pee.
Perspective.
Literally.
He's got to pee.
That's all I just wanted to bring up.
All right, next. Best teammates. This is actually hilarious. Donovan Mitchell was high-fiving his teammates on the bench, and Joe Ingles was like, nah.
Jingles wants nothing of this.
Why does Joe Ingles look like that dude from Con Air who's not allowed to be around anybody?
Also, is he cold? Why does he have a Gatorade towel draped around him?
Right, like he looked like one of those old head vets at the end of the that's like iced all the way up and can't move.
Only playing to 7? Yeah. But hey, when you're a hot shooter, you got to stay hot. So you got to wrap up. You got to keep the
Respect.
muscles
He has
loose.
his
I
sweats
get
on.
it. I get it.
Plus the towel.
No, it's
on.
cool.
It's
Creating
on.
the sauna.
All right, for worst Zoom call, we are going to go to Bam Adebayo.
Can you hear me?
I could hear you very well.
You can hear me very well.
When you guys are attacking that early on your own, the clock, is that just you guys sensing that the offense needs it? I'm sorry, can you hear me?
I don't think he liked whoever was asking.
Right.
He was
didn't
just
want to hear
disregarding
him.
every word that was coming out of his mouth. So, yeah, that was just one of those. Yeah, I can't click.
Who among us?
He was over the whole conversation. I feel like that's just 2021 and 2020. We've just been on Zoom calls. He's over that.
Yeah.
All right. John Collins brings us
My
the
mans.
most fired up.
Hey! Charge me! Charge me double! Thank you.
No.
You're the one that brought up. I
Wait,
just wanted to
Gary,
confirm.
what'd you
Remember that
say?
line again.
They lost this game. You brought it up, Trev.
I did. And he got hurt after
I
that
was gonna
play
say,
too.
what happened to John?
I'm not even gonna lie to. Charge me anytime I'm like double chicken, Chipotle. You know it's charge me double every time.
I don't care.
Every time.
Charge me.
Run it up.
Wow. Sounds like some haters. All right, let's go to best hobby. Because you talked about the fact that he took an L and he got hurt. Best
real
hobby,
life.
LeBron James. Okay, he gave, I think this is Ganga tattoo, a
Oh,
tattoo.
yeah.
He, a little crown on his wrist. And Ganga was really excited. He was like, yo, this is dope that I get to tat him up. And then now LeBron's tatting him up.
Thank God he used a stencil, right? Like, I'm not letting nobody that's not experienced draw freehand on my body for something that's permanent. Even LeBron James.
Hold on, time out.
Yeah.
LeBron's a lefty?
Wait.
Did we know that? Hold on, did we
Wait
know
a
that?
minute. That's a really
18
good pickup.
years. I
That's
feel
a
like we've
really
never seen
good pick.
LeBron.
I feel like I've heard something like about that, but like
I didn't even notice that.
revolutionary.
Shoots right, does everything.
Hey.
But he's a lefty? Are we breaking news on Hoop
I think
Streams?
he might be ambidextrous.
Breaking news into Hoop Streams.
LeBron
ambidextrous.
James.
He's ambidextrous. I would also
Yeah.
like to point out it is illegal for
To be ambidextrous.
somebody that's not licensed.
Hey, quit dry snitching. First of all,
Rihanna got in trouble for this when she
Christine
was like,
Williamson,
"Oh,
aka the
so
Feds,
I'm just
has
like,
decided to take
is
over this
LeBron
program.
gonna get in trouble too because Rihanna
You
got
are
in
the
trouble for
Feds.
doing
You
the
are the
same thing.
Feds.
Hello.
She tatted her own tattoo artist and she
I
got in
want to
trouble,
report
so
LeBron.
I'm like, are you allowed to just post this on social media?
The
I'm
Feds.
unsure.
The Feds.
Anyways, let's go to best friendship. This is, you know when like, you know how Drake
give me
said
Treavor?
rappers want to be, we want to be them and they want to be us?
Yes, this is a fact.
Lil Baby was on, I don't know if this is him wanting to be him, but Lil Baby. And then who else, Trev, was on the side?
42 Doug. Put some respect on 42 Doug's name. I know he's very smart.
James Harden didn't even put respect on his friend's name because he said, what? What'd you say? What'd you say? That was funny.
That was really funny.
Yeah, he's little. He's
I
little.
just, it was the honey buns. You remember that video where like I got a honey buns because I got 100 bands? Like that was the joke that he made when
What did
James
he-
Harden slid through and gave him the duffel bag with a bunch of money and a bunch of honey buns.
What did he rhyme Prada with? It was something like a mansion in Wisconsin type rhyming situation that he tried to pull off that just
Ooh,
didn't
I don't know.
work.
I know that he
Prada?
says like I'm proud of you, like but Prada.
Prada
You know
bag
what I mean?
because I'm proud of you. That
Yeah,
might
I think
that might have
that's what
been
it
it.
was. I think it
But
was
that
what it
works.
was.
So I don't feel like,
was
yeah,
a stretch.
that's great. All right, let's go to an NBA. Let's take a quick look at some of the things that happened and resonated with NBA Twitter regarding the NBA trade deadline. First of all, why is everybody hating on
No,
the
hey,
Superteam?
my favorite part about this is that my man's who is tweeting on behalf of KD has KD as his hobby. Like I love that so. It's perfect. It is perfect.
I also love how every generic player on 2K looks like Mike Bibby. That's I wouldn't mind having 5 Hulk
how
Mike Bibbies on the
swole
squad.
he
Yeah.
Current
is.
Mike Bibby. I don't know if current Mike Bibby could play basketball
Also
because of how swole
He's
he
too big,
is.
too Brody.
He's like way too big.
You won't tell him that to his face.
Okay, so Blake Griffin had this response about the Nets.
Loading up. Yeah.
I personally love Blake Griffin.
I bet
why.
you do.
Why?
But I said this last week. I'm not going to say anything else. You can just say that I love him. But this was his response.
It's kind of funny, right? Because for the last couple of years, all I've heard is how bad I am, which I believe to be, I cannot argue. Like, everybody talked about how washed he was, right?
Bro, it's been valid though. Everybody knows the whole he never dunked not a single solitary time while he was with Detroit, and then all of a sudden, first game with Brooklyn, he's Grandpa Joe from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
All on the ground.
This dude's out of the bed, fresh, as spring as a spry chicken. That's not even the same, but you get what I'm trying to say.
Right, no, but you were there. You were in the ballpark, and I appreciate the effort there.
Something about a spring chicken.
I just think, like, look, it is fair for him to be like, you know, y'all were just clowning me a week ago. Why are y'all all of a sudden thinking that I'm about to just be all world here?
And also, we do have to point out that, like, if this was 2015 and the Nets were doing this with Blake Griffin and who else? LaMarcus Aldridge, 2015.
Yes.
Then yes, that's a super team. But right now, they are reserve backup situational players. Like,
They're great,
let's
but
pump
like
the brakes.
Exactly, it's not that deep. It ain't
I
gotta be
feel
that
like he just is going to get a little bit more pep in his step. Just
Facts.
Don't,
yeah.
Grandpa Joe.
Don't hate on Blake. Okay.
And
On the other side, we have
just telling me
not
I'm
you.
hating. I'm
I'm
not
saying
hating.
them, not you.
The third time
guys.
you've accused us of
Hello?
being haters. You're the one hating on LeBron.
I don't sit right on my
Wow,
spirit.
I just triggered you for some reason. I don't understand. Okay, so on the other side, we have the defending champions, the Lakers. Here is LeBron's response.
Hey, LeBron, Yeah.
You know, Blake Griffin just went to the Nets a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, don't remind me. I'm trying to focus.
Well, LaMarcus Aldridge just went to.
What?
LaMarcus Aldridge just went to the Nets today.
He out his prime, though. It don't even matter.
And they said Blake Griffin was at his prime. He just dropped 17 points and caught Allen.
He caught Allen?
Yeah, he caught one his last game.
I thought they only said he dunked once.
No, he just caught Allen.
But they said he could not dunk like that no more.
Well, I guess he can.
So he went to the Nets and got his prime back?
I guess so.
Man, what is going on? So LaMarcus gonna be in his prime?
It's very possible.
He's gonna be bodying everybody up at center. How are they getting their primes back? This ain't Space Jam. Man, I think they trying to cheat me.
He had to get on the phone with Adam Silver after that. It was really funny.
Boycott this. Boycott. It's like, no, LaMarcus Aldridge is 35. You got to chill out.
Cool.
Calm down.
I'm 36.
Where do you guys think that the super teams rank? Do you feel like this team stacks up with the Warriors?
Based off the strength of the front three, yes. But like beyond that, we're not gonna get into the LaMarcus Aldridge and Blake Griffin.
Yeah,
edition.
it's not
boosting them.
Are we
over,
talking
right?
Nets or are we talking Lakers? Because although the Nets made two moves that were two headline guys and were really, really good perennial all-stars 4 or 5 years ago, I think the single solitary move the Lakers made in Andre Drummond trumps both of those moves just because Andre Drummond is still 27 and he is still a walking double-double. Yes, Blake Griffin found his legs and who knows what LaMarcus Aldridge is going to be, but of course LeBron and AD have to come back healthy to make that even viable.
But even beyond that, right? Like there have been articles written about the emptiness behind Andre Drummond's double-doubles, right? There's something to the productivity. I'm not going to take away from that. And certainly he's not going to be asked to do the things that he did in Detroit over there in LA. But I think it's hard to just say we take this stat line and we insert it into this lineup. I think it's going to take a lot more gelling than we're going to assume, at least on the front end.
If you ask me which move would I have made or which move do I prefer, I think it's Andre Drummond just because we're not asking him to be the 2020 guy, but we know he can get that at any clip. And when AD comes back, he relieves so much pressure in the paint when AD does come back, and then obviously when LeBron comes back from that ankle sprain. That is a treacherous
Heard it said perfectly, right? Like AD don't like playing the 5.
Yeah.
You let Andre come in, he plays the 5, AD moves to 4, Bron is at 3. Good Lord, right? Like that's terrifying for everybody.
Meanwhile, LaMarcus Aldridge is 35 on the bench.
Since we're on the subject of the Lakers-Bucks game is after the Mavs versus the Celtics on ESPN.
Good promo.
In game 2 of our doubleheader. But let's go back to this game. Stephen A. Smith caught up with Jayson Tatum to talk about the Celtics' struggles.
You and Jaylen Brown being the cornerstones of this franchise right now, that's pretty damn good hands for this franchise to be in. Y'all just 22, 24 years of age respectively, if I remember correctly. What would be the reason that you'd highlight as to why y'all have been struggling this year?
Obviously we have to take ownership on ourselves, and especially in the games that we lost. There are a lot of games that I know that we wish we had back, that, we wish we might have played better or down the stretch and things like that. But honestly, it's been a weird season, just the quick turnaround from the bubble, which, it's not just us. Every team is dealing with it. Obviously, myself, a couple other guys has tested positive, which is kind of throwing a loophole in our season and throughout the NBA. It's been a tough year, and I think that's, why some of the records look like they do throughout the league.
People have looked at Brad Stevens, and I've been one of those people. I think that Brad Stevens is a damn good coach. He knows the game of basketball, X's and O's. I don't think that you guys ever look unprepared or anything like that. But the one thing that I've pointed out that may be an issue is a coach touching on the pulse of his players, touching on the pulse of the team. For those of us on the outside, we might look at it that way. How do y'all look at Coach Brad Stevens? Put in perspective how you guys feel about him.
I think from our standpoint and in that locker room, it's not his job per se to, I feel like, get us riled up, those games, or we come out kind of slow. We're all professionals. We all been playing basketball for a long time. His job is to have us prepared, and, you really can't coach energy, in those days when, in those games where we didn't have this start and we dug ourselves a hole and had to try to come back. We got to take ownership. We got to, do better in that aspect. And, it's a team sport. So, yeah, he's not perfect, and neither are we. So, we got to take what we got.
You can catch the full interview and more by checking out Stephen A's World weekdays, on ESPN Plus. My favorite part, Stephen A's World?
Yeah?
Baby Stephen A.
Oh, without question.
Obviously.
Ain't no way to, Baby Stephen A is the GOAT when it comes to that piece of content, right?
I'm not going to agree with you guys just to agree with you.
What?
I
Okay.
tune in for Stephen A. It's his world.
All right, well.
That's some child's world.
Is this you getting repeatedly dunked on by your friends because of lackluster sports knowledge?
Let your brother Stephen A. Smith come in here and help you out a little bit.
Start your day with Get Up at First Take. Feel free to use our takes.
And shame your friends.
Get up with us at 8 a.m. Eastern.
When your sentence starts with, I agree with Dan or Lop, you're wrong. Followed by First Take at 10 a.m.
Listen, you're the guy. I had to teach you this. Giannis is the best player in the world. 4 days later, he's number 5 because I kept telling you he can't shoot.
And remember, always do the dunking.
Okay, all right, so that's to get you right on the weekday mornings. We are here to get you right when it comes to these young cats. Now, we heard a little bit from Jayson Tatum, who is one of the bright young stars in this league, and we got a collection of bright young stars right on the bottom of this here graphic that we are going to order in the caliber of who we would love to start our franchise with.
You and I, for once, agree
yes.
right out of the gate.
Yes.
Top 3.
Yes.
So let's not go ahead and keep the people in suspense.
Yeah.
Everybody knows if you're starting a franchise with a young cat, it's going to be Luka Doncic. This is already somebody who's going to win an MVP in the very near future. He was the front runner just last season for a long clip, all NBA, 22 years old. I don't think anybody thought he was going to be as good as he currently is this young.
I will say there's a little bit of overhype because I can't give him the MVP just yet, right? Like, no.
Overhype.
It's not to say that he's bad, of course, right? But like, we just need to let him win his MVP before we crown him that. So,
but we know
great
he's on that
player.
trajectory.
I will agree with that. He has it in his future if it so works out. In the 2 slot.
This one we might be overhyping just because the sample size is so small. But the sample size has been so electric that you can't ignore it. Of course, it's LaMelo Ball, who's only played just a hair over 40 games so far in his rookie campaign. But nobody thought the Charlotte Hornets were going to be a 4th seed in the East. Everybody thought it was going to be Gordon Hayward and Terry Rozier and the veteran presence on that Hornets team that made him semi-relevant in the East. No, it's the young gun who is absolutely dying to get back on the court. This is money well spent. He is living up to the hype.
Yeah, man, it's impossible to kind of live up to expectations in a lot of different regards, but I think we're seeing somebody that's come dang close to doing that in LaMelo Ball. He's a playmaker above all else, right? He's a guy that sees the floor incredibly well. The years that he spent as a pro overseas clearly benefited him to no end. It was something that allowed him to become a pro before he had to be in this league, which gives you a little bit more latitude to feel a little bit freer as you play the game. That's the sort of unbridled joy that we see both from Luka and LaMelo every time they set foot on a court.
Everybody was laughing at what LeVar Ball was doing a couple years ago, putting his kids, putting his sons at the forefront of every media opportunity that he had. He's the one laughing now because we all doubted it. We all doubted it. It was crazy, but I mean, he's living up. So number 3, another person living up to the hype, but just doesn't have that supporting.
Where is my man? Where is my man? All right,
leaving the people with suspense.
Man, listen, it was
suspense no more at Zion.
Yes, Zion Williamson, the big fella. We have seen point Zion, which is terrifying. 6'9", dang near 300 pounds, and he has the ability to create from wherever, right? As part of the pick and roll offense, he's a guy that can see the floor incredibly well. I know I said that about LaMelo, but the same is prevalent here. And then just the superstar caliber, the superstar presence. What he brings from a social media following is one thing, but as an individual, when he walks into the locker room, how he carries himself in front of the cameras, right? That's somebody you can build a franchise around.
Only 20 years old, and you remember, we're not too far removed from everybody saying, oh, he's too big to move like an NBA big is supposed to move. Oh, yeah, he's just going to be a guy that you're going to have to dump the rock to because he's too big. We have to reteach him how to walk. You remember that?
Right, yes.
Reteach him how to walk. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, SVG said, no,
Yeah,
okay, no, we'll work that out. Don't you even worry. And it's just crazy how he makes grown men still look like the children that he played against in South Carolina.
It's insane. So
Here's
1 through 3,
yeah, we
link up. We right
here. We right here.
This is where it goes off the rails for Trevor, because this is where I'm right.
Okay, well,
Number
that
4.
feels like an unnecessary shot. You want to go first? Go ahead, give your pick.
Jayson Tatum. We just saw him chopping it up with Stephen A. Smith. And a lot of these players on this list were drafted in a position high, and they were supposed to be be the franchise difference makers, the people that were supposed to take those franchises and take them to the promised land. We're looking at Brandon Ingram at 23 when he was drafted by the Lakers. LaMelo's brother, Lonzo Ball, only 23, now a member of the Pelicans, who was taken before Jayson Tatum at 3 in the 2017 draft. Yep. Jayson Tatum, in the first top 3 picks, is the only player that remains with his original team. Of course, Markelle Fultz gone, no longer with the Magic. And Jayson Tatum, all NBA, and steadily has gotten better every single year in Boston. It's not easy to play in Boston. So just 4 seasons in, already has them always in contention. Right now, they're kind of sliding. So give me Jayson Tatum right now, because he's proven it.
There's a hump that he has to get over. I think we both recognize that there's an inefficiency there that he could stand to kind of improve. And the guy I have at 4 hasn't even made it to the cusp of the hump, frankly. Trae Young is my pick for 4, right? And I think, yes, 1,000%. You gonna say that coming from a Boston network, right? Like, you can't say that to me. So, but Trae Young has shown like so many different flashes of excellence and superstardom. And it's in spite of the coaching staff that was in place. It's in spite of not having the appropriate amount of true scorers to go along with him on that roster. I do believe, again, there have been some late game miscues from Trae that I still raise my eyebrow at, and I'm like, we got to get that out of your system if we expect you to take over this franchise and really kind of boost it to the next level. But I think it's there from a standpoint of just the visibility of seeing him being able to carry a franchise.
Only 22 years old, and you know that's not going to be the question mark for the foreseeable future as long as you get everything around him correct. So those are our top 4. Who's your 5?
I am going to go somebody purely off of the strength of who he is on the court and just the mentality. I love Ja Morant, bro. Like, from his Twitter game to the constant rocking of tech suits and tech fleece suits and nothing else, he has a swagger about himself that says, I know I have the keys to the Memphis Grizzlies and I'm going to take care of it, right? Like, he takes pride in it. And he goes out there with an animalistic mentality every single time he sets foot on the court. And so, like, that's something I can appreciate. And even if the offensive production numbers aren't quite the level of even the guys that we have on this list, like, I still think that there's something to behold when it comes to a mentality from a guy like Ja Morant.
And while we're talking about young players, 25 was the cutoff, which is why you don't see Nikola Jokic, who is age 26, not on this list. Don't chirp us. Nobody older than 22 on this list. So give me the old head, Devin Booker. Been in the league. Forget this, half a dozen years already. That's what is lost on so many of us when we have these conversations, that Devin Booker has been in the league for 6 seasons. He's only 24, has already signed a max extension in Phoenix, who, oh yeah, by the way, is the 2nd seed in the West. And every single season, nobody talks. Granted, the first half of that half dozen years, the Suns were terrible. And now they're relevant finally, which is a tail end production of what was happening last year. But now we're finally able to give the Suns, and most notably Devin Booker, who's their longest tenured star, their due. I like what he's doing. 28 points. You can set your watch to him. Obviously, CP3 came in there, gave him some veteran leadership.
Certainly helps.
But Devin Booker, 24 years old, has the Suns in 2nd place. He's obviously somebody the Suns have trusted with their franchise, and now it's finally paying dividends. They just had to wait a little bit.
So you picked your doppelganger, and you picked your home team favorite.
What
right?
of it?
Just wanted to call it.
And I mentioned that Nikola Jokic was not on the list because he didn't meet our age.
Fair enough. The big fella needs love. But yes, the Mavs and Celtics need love too. Let's get back to that conversation.
For Boston, the struggles continue. They're going to have to band together and find a way to win games.
They're better than what they are right now, record-wise.
Guys are aware of the standings. We're focusing on getting better.
You're trying to scrap out of a tough situation. You've got to give it everything you've got.
I want our players to feel hope.
Take the energy up. Come on.
Win on three, what's the good play?
Show! Oh yeah! Luka Doncic!
This whole team needs to have accountability.
Gotta keep going, gotta keep pushing. Can't give up.
Just get warmed up. Let's go right now. Here we go. Closing time. Ain't no mercy, no love. Did somebody curse me, no love. My mind is veering, I can't clear it, man. I might just go nuts. Absolutely scintillating stardom from Luka Doncic. That was sensational.
That's right, people. We got the Mavs heading to Boston to take on the Celtics, and to talk about that matchup at 7:30 p.m. on ESPN, we brought in our good sis, Roz Godan-Woode, to get a little preview action in here. Now, I'm going to start on the Boston side because things have been really good in Boston. They had fans in the stands on Monday, but they took a big fat L. And now they dropped under 500 once again. So what the heck is happening with the Celtics team?
Well, first of all, I want to know, is that your Boston accent, Christine?
It's awful.
Boston?
It's awful.
It's like Long Island. I'm glad you said it, Ross.
I was getting to it. Don't you worry.
That's right.
Well, it's as unfortunate. Your accent is as unfortunate as this season has been at times for the Celtics. But look, I come here to bear some good news. They sit at like 7 in the East. They are a win streak away from moving up in the standings. It's a little bit packed right there. So they'll be, they have the opportunity, if they could get it together, to move up and better their standings for the playoffs. But when I talk about the Celtics, it's the same thing I say every time you ask me. This is a team that we keep comparing to a Eastern Conference Finals type team that had been there 3 of the last 4 years, and they're just not that same team. They're not that same roster. They're not that same identity, and it's hard to keep comparing them to those teams that were successful more recently. This is a team that doesn't have the same defensive identity. And that was a huge part of what Brad Stevens was bringing to these teams. This is a team, they don't have the same level of talent. Whether at the time or not, you believed they were good decisions. They've lost Kyrie Irving. They've lost Al Horford. They've lost Gordon Hayward. They've lost Terry Rozier. And that is a lot of significant talent to lose, and it hasn't necessarily been replenished. Here comes another trade deadline. Celtics were kind of quiet. They were quiet. Buyout market, still kind of quiet. And so they need a boost. They need more bigs. They need more defense. They need good health, continuity. And so all of that together has left the Celtics team around 500.
Kind of quiet is like an operative word, right? Like, cause the addition of Evan Fournier was hopeful, at least, to kind of make a little splash in the regards that you need them to, but it was much more forgettable than we would hope, right? Like 0 points, most scoreless attempts in the shot clock, in the 3-point era. So with that, what is Evan Fournier's ceiling within this roster?
Yeah, that was a really tough debut for Evan on Monday. Like, historically, not great. I'll even go, but I'm not going to hold one single performance against this guy. Obviously going 0 for 10 from the field in his debut Monday for the Celtics, 0 for 5 from 3. Didn't even get to the free throw line, help him out. He had a whole goose egg, 0 points. Right. But, the main thing is this guy has a history of work. He's 28 years old. He's been in the league for a little bit here. He was averaging about 20 points per game before coming to the Celtics. This is a guy who can shoot the 3-point shot, add some spacing, and more importantly, the Celtics, they have a nice little starting 5 when they're healthy and have the continuity, but they are lacking in bench and depth. And that's something that Fournier can bring. Bench production, the scoring ability, and also, remember I said this team is not the same defensive team that they have been in past years. He can help there. He has a nice length and can help on the defensive end of the floor and just bring some extra effort, energy, and a spark and boost, which I think that this Celtics team needs right now as they further bolster their attack of playoff positioning.
Ross, flip side of that, everything goes through Luka Doncic. He has the Mavs currently in the 7th slot in the Western Conference. My question, though, he leads in every single major statistical category on his team. Talking points, rebounds, assists, doesn't lead in blocks. At any rate, my question is that sustainable? Like, they're in the 7th slot now. Luka continues to ball, but if they're going to make any sort of run in the playoffs, like, it can't just be him, right?
Yeah, basketball is a team sport. I completely agree with what you're getting at there. And I would also say another part of that is Luka kind of had to do this while the team was basically dispersed. COVID protocol issues, very much through like the list of roster contributors. Many of them were out in the beginning part of the season, but more importantly, stars were out. It's a simple formula, guys. If you want to win, your best players have to play, and all the Mavs need is continuity, and they just can't seem to put that together. They came out of the All-Star break, seemed like they might have found some rhythm and momentum, but then all of a sudden, they've got Luka out, they've got Porzingis out again. So Luka comes back last game, they get the W. Maybe a formula there, Luka plays, it helps. The last 2 games where he was out with a back and with illness, They lost also KP. Porzingis was out as well. And Porzingis just can't find the rhythm that we once knew from him. You know, he was recovering from the knee in the beginning of the season, then missed more games with back soreness, then was out last game. I think a real key is if your stars play, you have a chance to win. When the two of them play together, they're 12-3 this season. You know, so I think they need continuity overall for the Mavs, and that will solve a lot of problems and also allow Luka to take a little bit less pressure off of his shoulders. And when you have less pressure, you can still be great, but more efficiently so. And I'll throw out another stat out here. Strong starts will help this team too. You know, first quarter, when they're up after the first quarter, they're 16-0. I think it's important for them to get out to a good start in this game.
All right, so the one team is the 7th in the East, the other team is the 7th in the West. Which one is going to get the dub?
Yeah, and that's interesting. They're both kind of fighting for the same things right now. I would just say, though, that I believe that Luka and KP, when healthy, this Mavs team has a lot more upside and potential than they've been able to show this season. I'm going to stand my ground in that. I've continued to bet on them, and I hope it's now getting closer and closer to a crucial time for them to make this turnaround. But I'm going to go with the Mavs pulling this one out.
All right, we'll see exactly what happens that game shortly. Thanks so much, Roz, for joining us.
Bye, y'all.
So before we close the show, Gary, I want to get your thoughts on something, just really fast.
Okay.
The fact that every Gary in the NBA
is a huge day for Garys.
was traded at the deadline.
Yes. Yeah. Big day.
The tens of Garys around the world were absolutely elated that we were stealing headlines. Every active Gary in the NBA got traded on trade day, which was fantastic. Let me tell you, I reached out to every single Gary that I know personally, just my dad. And
I was
said,
going to say how many was that?
Okay. Me, my dad, those 3 Garys, also another junior. I tweeted at Gary V, who tweeted back, and he was like, I see it, my brother. We're ripping headlines today. That's all we got.
I have an Uncle Gary.
See? So. I bet you he was elated.
Maybe,
did you hear back from
not,
Gary Busey, Gary?
I would like to say something that the Department of Social Security said that in the last 20 years, the name Gary hasn't really held that strong. So you guys are truly holding it down.
We're a small but strong bunch.
And you, Christine, are truly the feds. Thank you.
Bringing up a staff from the Social Security Administration. Who are you?
The feds. Do my due diligence and do a little research. All right, we got the Mavs at Boston Celtics going on right now on ESPN. Check that out if you're watching in the app. Go on and authenticate. Watch it right here. We'll see you guys next week.
There's probably 3 Garys that live in Massachusetts. I used to be one of them.
Gary Watson.